Okay, we've been here like 10 minutes and I'm already blown away. This place is beautiful. Look at this. Can you see that behind me?
Hi, I'm Justine.
And I'm Daryl.
And we're the Breakaway Bravehearts. And today we're going to tell you everything you need to know if you are attempting to cover Florence in a day. You're going to need a lot of planning, a lot of pre-booking. We've learned this the hard way. So this video is going to give you all the tips and tricks to make sure that your day is successful.
We've come in the off season. It's like early February, 2nd of February, and it's already packed.
When I came out of the train station, it was obviously, come into a city that was busy. Suddenly you are just greeted by a cathedral. You're greeted by a tower. You're just greeted by so much. And just the buzz that was created just within that little square. Just so much contained in one area.
Yes.
Loved it.
And I like just walking down that street and seeing that backdrop of the tower and the cathedral. They are beautiful buildings, absolutely stunning buildings, like an iced wedding cake. It almost looks like it's a painted backdrop, like on a film set. And when you get there and it's real, it's quite stunning.
It really is. In fact, you don't believe your eyes to start with.
Yeah. So we know all of this from experience because we attempted Florence in a day and we were definitely not able to do it. We still hadn't done as much planning as we needed.
Well, the first thing that impacted us was the amount of queues.
Okay, so this is the queue. We're going to join the back of it. It's somewhere down here.
I don't even want to know where it is. It's right down back.
It's right down around the corner for the queue during the off season.
We got there fairly early and we did spend at least 20-30 minutes in the wrong queue.
This is
because
true.
every queue seems to be for a specific entrance and you need a specific timed ticket for that queue. So when you are in those queues, to work out which one, there are some really good signs at the start of each entrance that have a map.
Yeah, once it became apparent to us that there were these areas that we had to go to, the signage is very, very good. And it's in English. And there's always seems to be someone at the door controlling, because there are some strict rules about entering these museums. If you've got a backpack or anything like that, you've got to go and store it.
There is a place where you can store luggage at the main train station, Santa Maria Novella. There are also quite a few storage lockers around the city that are much cheaper. So as soon as you get into that main square with the dome and the tower, you get that sense of the crowds and the hustle and bustle of the place. I liken it to Tokyo, although it's got absolutely nothing in common with Japan at all, except those overcrowded streets like Shibuya and Harajuku. Or another weird comparison is Disneyland, because it's just like those big theme parks where you can expect to be waiting in very long queues to get into any of the attractions. So after we realised that we'd been in the wrong queue and that we needed to book in advance, and then we decided that we weren't going to be able to do this in one day. So in this video, our footage covers a couple of days and it explains to you what you're going to need to do if you are going to take on the one-day challenge, and some tips and tricks that we've learned that will make it a really fun experience. So what are these main attractions that people should put on their must-do list?
Well, you don't go to Florence and not see the dome.
It's stunning.
It's meant to be the biggest dome ever created. That was without a doubt my number one, although I was also blown away by the Giotto Tower.
So the cathedral and the bell tower are just a few minutes walk from the train station. You really can't miss it. It's also where most of the people are. If you do want to climb the dome or the tower, you're going to need tickets and they're more than likely going to be sold out, so you've got to book at least a couple of weeks in advance. We were actually lucky and we bought tickets on the day, but that was because we'd already abandoned our plan to do it only in one day, and we took the last session of the day to get up the tower.
Taking those 463 steps, well worth it, no question about it. But take into consideration, you have got to have a good level of fitness, because I think they allow you 45 minutes in total to get up there and back.
How many stairs, Daryl? 463, was it?
You'll find also that it's quite claustrophobic. If there's anybody who's got a little bit of fear of enclosed spaces, this may not be for you.
Oh my god, it's just literally round and round in a spiral. Oh yeah. Already puffed. It's a very narrow stairwell, so as you're going up, other people are coming down that same stairwell, which can be handy because it means you can stop and take a breath.
And you'd get a lot of people going, don't worry, you're nearly there, kind of attitudes, which was really cool. And what's crazy is that you learn that it's actually like 2 domes. When you go up to the dome, you find yourself actually between the 2 domes, and it's just a phenomenal experience in itself.
The frescoes were amazing. They were vibrant and colourful, and they were gruesome because they were depictions of Dante's Commedia.
That would explain a lot, I have to say, because they were pretty gruesome, some of them. But the colours were phenomenal.
If you're interested in Dante and want to learn more about the Commedia, check out our other video on Pistoia, which actually features in the Commedia as a place that Dante thought should incinerate itself. A den of beasts.
A den of beasts.
We disagree. We thought Pistoia was awesome, so check out that video.
If you want to reduce the amount of steps, there's also the Giotto Tower, where that's got 414 steps.
Yeah, that's 50 steps less.
Okay. Be aware that Giotto does have a bell. It can be quite deafening.
But we chose to do both, didn't we?
Yes.
Up and down both in one day. So in the end, we did almost 1,800 steps in a day.
Absolutely. Yeah, we got to see two amazing views. We got to see the one view during the day, and we got to see as the night was coming in. It was just fantastic.
Yeah. Being up the top in the evening as the sun went down was just stunning. If I had to choose only one, I think I would choose the dome, just because the tower had that big wire mesh cage around it, which kind of distracted from the view just a little bit, and it made it hard to take photos. Another way to get that fabulous view, if you don't want to climb the 1,800 something stairs, is the Piazzale Michelangelo.
It's a pleasant walk, and you get to discover certain things on the way as well.
We saw a few buses on the way, so there is a public bus that will take you up there if you don't want to walk, but the climb wasn't that bad at all. The other big draw card that you don't want to miss is, of course, the Ponte Vecchio.
I mean, it seems that everybody goes to the Ponte Vecchio. I myself was slightly disappointed by the choices of shops that you have there.
Originally, the shops along the bridge were actually butchers and tanners and farmers, so the local people, but now it's just jewelers, art dealers and souvenir sellers.
I was really, really happy to have reached the ice cream parlour at the end of the other side of Ponte Vecchio though, because that's where I could really enjoy something.
Personally, I loved the Ponte Vecchio. It's a medieval stone arch bridge, and it wasn't destroyed during World War II. It's one of the few things that was not bombed by the Nazis, and the story goes that Hitler actually declared that it was not to be touched. So therefore, it still maintains that authenticity about it. It's still really got that authentic medieval feel, which I love.
Yes, from that point of view, I would say yes, it really was.
And it's well worth walking over the bridge, along the other side of the river, and back over the opposite bridge so you can look back at the Ponte Vecchio.
Agreed.
If you have any interest in art, you're going to want to see the Uffizi Museum, which houses a stunning collection of Italian masterpieces. You've got the Botticellis, Caravaggios, Leonardo da Vinci, Giotto, the list goes on and on. A literal wealth of paintings and sculptures. If you only have a day in Florence, you must book your tickets in advance. And the best way to do this is directly on the Uffizi Museum website. It's not quite as simple as that though, so let me talk you through it. First, you'll need to pick a 15-minute time slot. This is your window of time to enter the museum. Once you're in, you can spend as long there as you like, and you'll probably want to give yourself an hour. If you want to take photos, you're going to have to wait your turn, and this all takes time. But first, you have to pick up your tickets in another 15-minute slot. For example, if you booked a 10:15 to 10:30 entry slot, you'll need to line up at the pre-booked ticket door at 10 o'clock to get your ticket and then walk over to the 10:15 queue. Don't try and do it any earlier, they will just kick you out. One good tip is that if you are going to both the Uffizi and the Accademia on the same day, you can book both through either museum website, and then you pick up all the tickets at the first location you go to, and then you don't have to do the double queue at the second location. The Galleria Accademia is the one you want to go to if you want to see the real David, and he is impressive. He's worth a visit, and thus he is extremely popular. So the queues here were pretty crazy. So what happens is every 15 minutes or so, the security guard flips over a card which shows the next time slot, and then he calls out those time slots and gets everybody with those times written on their tickets to line up. It might not be the actual time. So for example, our 2:30 time slot was actually called at 3:15. So don't rely on your clock, rely on the security guard. He'll tell you when to line up. But the Galleria and the Uffizi are not the only museums in Florence. There are, in fact, if you include the private collections and the exhibits in the churches, you've got 72 galleries to choose from, and each of them have their own speciality. So if you're really interested in art, you most definitely need to research in advance and plan out more than a day to enjoy it all.
You're going to need half a year.
So other than those 4 main draw cards, you've got dozens of smaller churches and historical buildings. The Medici Palace, San Lorenzo, Santa Croce, and a bunch of other amazing locations that you will recognize the name of if you play Assassin's Creed. If you are an Assassin's Creed fan, I recommend you subscribe right now so that you get notification of our next video coming out, which will show you those specific Assassin's Creed locations. Once you're in the city centre, all the major attractions are within walking distance. In fact, you'll get a couple of cars going down and you get your horse and carts, but everybody's basically walking everywhere.
It seems like the pedestrian rules the streets more than the car.
So you'll need really good walking shoes. And don't rely on Google Maps estimation of how much time it's going to take you to walk anywhere, because actually you're going to be walking at a slow, relaxed pace because you're encountering crowds.
You're just going to be captivated by many things. There's just so much to see. But there's some lovely boutique shops and things as well, isn't there, as you go down these streets away from the Dom. So if you're into shopping, there are some amazing places to shop and get that Italian leather and stuff like that. Obviously, you're going to get hungry after all that walking and those steps. So you're going to want to either experience a restaurant or some sort of cafe. Be prepared to pay quite a sufficient amount of money for the restaurants. Florence is renowned for its big cuts of steak. So you'll see lots of meat on display.
If you're a vegan, there are some vegan options. Another special Florentine food is scacciata.
I'm sure it's known as the scacciata.
We know we're not pronouncing that correctly, but we're trying. It's basically a specifically Florentine version of focaccia bread.
We were recommended the All'Antico. It's another place where you're going to queue.
It's crazy.
We had to wait 30 minutes for our sandwich.
12 euros for a sandwich sounds pretty hefty, but you get a lot in it.
And just one was enough for both of us. But apart from just the main attractions, there's the feel of Florence. There's just a buzz about it. It doesn't feel like a place that people just come to take photos of. It feels like a place where people live and they enjoy that life. And one of our favourites was the wine windows.
What a great concept.
Yeah.
And this apparently is a concept that's been going on for years.
For centuries. Back in the day, in the medieval times, wine was actually considered more important than water. Benedictine monks were even assigned to drink a certain amount of wine each day. But the streets weren't always safe, especially around the times of plague. So the wine windows allowed you to get your wine without having the dangers of medieval life.
I think there's like 172 options there or something like that.
If you click on the link in our description, it'll take you to our website, and there you'll find a blog that's got more information about the wine windows, including a map, so you can find them all. So in the end, what's your thoughts, Daryl? Can you do Florence in a day?
I think we all know the answer to that one. You could, but you'd be missing a lot out of it. I would give a minimum of 3 days because there's so much to experience there.
Yeah, if you're going to take the challenge on, then go to our website, click on the blog. I've given you a list of must-dos, some tips and tricks there to make sure that you get it all done in one day. Should you do Florence in a day? Absolutely not.
Agreed.